We're now joined by Larry Vaught of the Danville Advocate Messenger. We talked before the break, Larry, about Joker Phillips. His status is up in the air, but Mitch Barnhart is still sticking to his guns, not going to say anything until the end of the season. I know you wrote something over the weekend where you feel like the fans and the players deserve an answer. Can you talk us through what you wrote on your website?
Well, I think even the coaches deserve an answer. I think nothing's going to change in the last 3 games. If you know what you're going to do, come out and say it. I mean, I think most fans would say it's time for a coaching change. But if Mitch, for whatever reason, is not going to do that, then I think he owes it to the fans and the players and the coaches to come out and explain that right now. Take all this uncertainty out of the situation so the players especially can just concentrate on playing football instead of having people like me and you always asking them what's going on, what do you hear, is it impacting you, does it bother you, are you playing to save the coach's job, all of that. I just think that Mitch needs to do that, and I actually think he owes it to Joker too. Joker's been in UK as a player and as an assistant coach and as a head coach, and to kind of leave all this hanging over his head, go ahead and be rid of that. If you're going to make the change, say so. Let Joker go out, enjoy these last 3 games. Let the fans come and thank him and appreciate him for what he's done over the years for the program, and then go ahead and start moving forward. And if you're not going to make a change, then have the courage to come out and say it now and explain why, so you can put that behind you and try not to lose all momentum you might have for recruiting.
You know, fans that want to change, I think some of them look at the silence as maybe a sign that Joker could be back, which seems a little crazy considering what the record is and the meager expectations at the beginning of the season. Do you think that is accurate, that the longer this goes on, that maybe the chances that Joker returns increase, or is this just what Mitch does?
I think Mitch stays quiet till the end of the season is kind of the way he operates. But to me, I would kind of equate that to the way the Joker made a plan before the game Saturday at Missouri. He was going to play Patrick Towles the 3rd series no matter what. And when it turned out that Whitlow had moved the ball really well twice, putting Towles in that situation with the pre-planning wasn't really the best thing. So maybe if Mitch always does wait till the end of the season, maybe there's times you have to make exceptions, and I think this would be one. And I know for a person like myself, this is not an easy subject because I've known Joker since the time he was a high school football player, and it's not easy to have to criticize friends or say that you think a friend has not done the job. But in my business, that's what you have to do. And I think it's the same with Mitch. He can be friends with Joker and like Joker and love Joker, great wife, great family, all of that. But he has to also make a business decision. And I just don't think many businesses would wait and let this keep going on without making a decision. And that's what this is all about, making the best business decision for Kentucky, Joker Phillips, and Mitch Barnhart.
I don't believe that you covered Joker Phillips. You're not old enough to have covered Joker Phillips in high school. Is that you really knew him when he was in high school?
I knew him when he was in high school, when he played at UK. I watched Chuck Smith play at UK. I watched Mike Summers coach at UK. So I've been around a while.
You're too cool. You're too cool to seem like you're that old to have done that. But let's say they get rid of Joker and Joker's gone. Are there names that or types of coaches that you think would be attracted to this Kentucky job and could be successful next season even with some of the young talent they have?
Well, you got to remember, you're talking to the guy that was the first person that brought up Hal Mummy's name before he got hired and got laughed out of the state for about 2 months, then was told, well, you're one of the smartest people I've ever seen. Then when Hal got the program in trouble, saying, how could you ever thought he should have been here? So it kind of goes in cycles. But me, I like Sonny Dykes. I think you got to have somebody that's a little bit different, thinks a little bit outside of the box, does things a little bit different. Sonny's offense that he uses is that way. Of course, it's a byproduct of the Mummy offense. I'm also, I think, a little bit different, that I'm not looking for a coach that's 57, 58, 60 years old like me that's wanting to come to Kentucky and just say he coached in the SEC and ride his career out. I want to see some coach come into Kentucky and he says, I want to come here and do so well that I can go on and coach at Alabama or USC, one of the biggest programs in the nation. I want to coach it with coming after 3 years. Let's say he's won 25 games and you lose him. So what? If you've won 25 games in 3 years, who could complain? Every coach that I've covered at the University of Kentucky, I think about this, and I've been covering Kentucky since 1974. Every head coach that I covered at Kentucky, when he coached his last game at Kentucky, that was his last game as a head coach, except for Bill Curry, who's finally surfaced at a level far below where he was. So really, I don't even kind of count that. But every coach I've watched at Kentucky, when it's been over at Kentucky, it's been over for him. I think you got to think a different way. Look at somebody that comes in young and ambitious, doesn't look like he's coming to Kentucky for his life. He wants to come and use Kentucky as a stepping stone job. When you're at the bottom of the SEC, what's wrong with having a guy that comes in and says, I want to elevate this program to the point that everybody thinks I'm such a hot property that somebody else wants me? Then you go out and get another young, successful coach. I don't see anything wrong with doing it that way.
You make a great point. There's a thin line between being a stepping stone job and a dead-end job. And for Kentucky coaches, over history, it seems like it's been a dead-end job when guys get this position. If you're trying to get that young guy, that hot name to come in here, what do you sell him on currently with the program to say this can be your stepping stone job? What is it about the current situation that could be appealing to a guy like that?
Well, I think the first thing you would sell him on is the young talent that you have in your freshman and sophomore classes. I think that's what you sell him on. I think 2, you would sell him on playing in the SEC. But then 3, I think you got to put your money where your mouth is. You've got to upgrade facilities. And I know folks at UK hate hearing about that, don't want you to talk about that, but I know I've heard there's some scuttlebutt about maybe they're going to expand the weight room to where to be 12,000 square feet, which sounds really good until you go and look and see that Alabama's getting ready to build one that's going to be 35,000 square feet. You talk about spending a couple $1 million to do this or that, sounds good. Louisiana Tech, where Sonny Dykes is right now, is building a $20 million facility. Duke's getting ready to put $75 million into their football program. Vanderbilt's put a lot of money into their football program. So if you're going to sell a young coach or a rising coach on something, you're going to have to convince him that you're going to put more money into the football program than what they've been putting into it.
We got about 30 seconds left. Can you give us a percentage for this weekend that you think Kentucky will win? What percentage would you put on Kentucky winning?
A generous 25%.
25%. That's probably actually maybe a little generous. Larry Vaught, thank you very much for joining us. Always a pleasure, and I'll see you this weekend, I'm sure.
All right.